Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabar.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning,
Mr. Femi.
Johnson Salami Plus. Get used to that.
I sure will.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Yes, this day, of course, highlighting one or two things about the frontline presidential candidate. We'll start with the window story above the masthead. Atiku, I will consider national unity government if elected. To douse tension, unite Nigerians, berates APC administration over increasing debt burden. Well, I don't think it will be stroke of ingenuity if Atiku wins and decide to form a unity government, because there will be enough PDP alumni from the various political parties to harvest from NNPP to APC, where the chairman of that party served 2 terms as governor of Nasarawa State as a PDP man. Of course, Labour Party, we know where Peter Obi has his roots also. So, will that bring peace? But will Atiku win? I think that's the question we'll answer first. Then, of course, the lead story in major crowdfunding, Nigerians in diaspora move to raise $150 million, 100 billion naira for Obi's campaign. Labour candidate pledges to cut costs of governance, commitment to transparency, accountability. Of course, some will add commitment to transparency, accountability, and frugality, because Peter Obi is known to be frugal in government. Of course, maybe that's the kind of person we need today, but some will say they don't want akagon. That is somebody who has glue in his hands. When he holds your money, you cannot pull it back. But we need accountability, transparency in government, which Obi is promising, but raising so much. Yeah, are there implications in terms of the amount of money you can bring in from outside the country into the election? But that is why it is crowdfunding, because these are bits of donations here and there that will amount to $150 million, 100 billion naira. Yes, I think if there's one person who needs some money now among the frontline presidential, it has to be Peter Obi, because others seem to be well healed when it comes to funds. Now, looking at the third presidential candidate on the front page of this day, Tinubu, Shetima, APC governors visit Jonathan. What are they cooking again? This day is asking. Well, of course, when we talk of campaign funding, well, Tinubu has that side sealed up, because we know he has a war chest. Whether they come in billions or billions, he has a war chest. So, what is he doing with Jonathan? Jonathan, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, former president. Well, if you are looking for the traducers of Jonathan while he was in office, I'm sure you will add Bola Tinubu to that list. But some reports are saying the APC, they are looking to get the support of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. In what context would that support come from? Jonathan, the last time I checked, was still a member of the PDP, unless, of course, Ruben has since confirmed that he has not left the party. And if there is one person we should know on this table, of course, Ruben, you should know. One of Jonathan's men while he was in government, and I'm sure they are still in touch, they are still in contact. Well, if Ruben is saying there's nothing to that visit yet, many people will believe him, but I think we'll hear from Ruben once again on that matter. Now, the Guardian newspaper, after 14.6 billion naira, Nigerian Air misses 5th takeoff amid investors' apathy. Concerns as Nigerian Air gobs 14.6 billion naira in 4 years, under 5% government equity. Industry awaits delivery of Sirica's aviation roadmap 7 years on. 9 months to go. Consultant stakeholders disagree on prospect of new airline. Yes, if you have spent so much and Nigerians are yet to see the takeoff of the long-awaited Nigerian Air, then questions must be asked with few months to the end of this administration. Of course, if you spend so much to launch the logo of a product that you are yet to produce or a service that is not near delivery, then people will ask questions. Recall that road show in the UK, where the logo of the Nigerian Air was launched with pomp, pageantry, and so much money into that effort. Now, fifth target for takeoff missed. What will happen between now and the end of this administration? Now, the Punch newspaper quickly. Yes, the Punch newspaper, federal government summons varsity council, vice chancellors as parents grumble. Yes, every father, mother who has a child in public university has a right to be annoyed, not just grumble, that between the academic staff union of universities and the federal government, there is no breakthrough yet. The Minister of State, yes, for Education, and if we look at the front page of the Nation newspaper, where he is speaking, reverse your decision on strike. Federal government tells ASUU. Minister insists all unions' demands met. Vice chancellors, pro-chancellors to meet education minister September 6. Parents urge parties to resume talks. Yes, I listened to the Minister of State for Education yesterday on, of course, NTA, the government owned news outfit. And he said clearly that they have met all ASUU demands. That the only point of disagreement, according to him, has to do with whether they should be paid 6 months' salaries, the duration for which they've been on strike. And you ask the question, if you spend 6 months on strike, you come back, students have lost the academic sessions, and you collect 6 months' salary, where is the sacrifice you claim to have made to salvage the education, the tertiary education system, public one at that? And the government is saying, no, we are not going to pay you 6 months or 7 months for which you have not worked. I don't think that makes sense. If you own a factory and your workers go on strike for 6 months, you come back, you've not produced, and you now look for money to pay them 6 months' salary? Well, but we continue to appeal to ASUU and the government to look for a middle ground, resolve this issue so that students can go back to the universities and continue their studies. It's bad enough that some have lost 1 academic session, some 2, some who were given admission are yet to take off. Many who want to go for youth service are sitting at home. By the time the universities resume, they will be too old to join the National Youth Service Scheme, because once you pass 30, you cannot participate. No fault of theirs. They went to school, passed their examinations, WAEC, JAMB, when they ought to do so. But the lecturers and the federal government have other ideas. Oh, this country. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, disquiet in PDP over Wike's preferred candidate remarks. Yes, his comments put Atiku on edge. Source explains why party can't sanction Wike for anti-party activity. Ex-VP still open to reconciliation. Our crisis will be resolved soon. Olafeso, swallow your ambition. Return to PDP. McAfee tells Obi Kwankwanso, stop bad-mouthing me. Wike tells McAfee, says alleged rapist in Rivers PDP frolicking with Atiku. Calls governors meeting now. Edo PDP tells ASUU. Where do the governors of PDP stand on this matter? We know they are divided. Of course, there are about 4 governors who are behind and working with Nyesom Ezenwa-Wike, the governor of Rivers State. Now, let me look at the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of UK app will let patients avoid long NHS wait. Shop around for treatment using smartphone. Yes, the Health Secretary, Steve Beckley, is saying that from April next year, from your phone, you can access using real data where you can get, where you have the shortest waiting list and get your treatment. So I'm sure many in the UK will welcome that, because sometimes you just have to travel to get treatment fast. And that's what that app will be doing. Now, the Wall Street Journal, Gorbachev, last leader of Soviet Union, dies as the 8th and final leader of the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR. Mikhail Gorbachev passed away. Well, in the West, he will be praised, yes, for helping to bring an end to communism. But at home, Russia, at home in Russia, I'm sure many in Putin's administration will be saying, well, maybe he did not do well, because, yes, brought openness, brought economic change, but restructuring, glasnost and perestroika, yes, but the promises on which he took some of those decisions, no expansion of NATO towards the east, was not written anywhere. And today's leaders in the West are pushing and pushing until NATO has gotten to the border of Russia. Hence, we have this war in Ukraine today, which, well, Putin is trying to correct the wrong way. Ruben Rufai.
And you have a great point there, because those countries under the Warsaw Pact, we all saw how they went.
Yes.
The countries under the Warsaw Pact then and all of that. But when you look at it, truly, I keep asking, would the outcomes have been different if Russia had sane leaders? Because don't forget, afterwards, Russia had a Yeltsin. Then Russia had a Putin. Then Russia had a Medvedev that was a puppet of a Putin. Will this have been a better outcome? And don't forget, this is what Putin had always wanted. Putin was an officer, KGB officer in Germany when the wall did fall down in Berlin in 1990. And it was said, in fact, if you read the book of Marshall Grassin wrote a book, extensive material on Putin, a Russian political activist, said, it was said that he was very upset that the Iron Curtain had fallen, and he said, I will restore the imperialism of Russia. Those were his words as at 1990. And that's what Putin is trying to do once again. And will the outcomes have been different if the disarmament in Ukraine didn't happen? Because we forget that most of the nuclear arsenal were domiciled in the satellite state of Ukraine. If Ukraine had nuclear weapons, would Putin have been doing all of this? Yeah, he stands a point. He had gained some ground. Nobody fought him this way against when he went to take over Crimea, when he took over South Ossetia and Abkhazia and all of that, and he started taking all the other states from the likes of Saakashvili in Georgia. Nobody fought him when he did that. But why is he doing this now? Why is Putin doing this now? Because he wants to flex his muscle and show that, hey, I can make the Soviet state big again, like it used to be under the Soviet nation. But he forgets in a hurry that Russia used to be an imperialist state until a certain learning with his Bolshevik revolution scattered all of this in the first place. And that's where Putin wants to go again. Time will tell. History is not far from us.
In April 1991, when there was that attempted coup that later brought Boris
Johnson.
Boris
Yeltsin became the hero.
The main organizers of that attempted coup were KGB officers.
Yeah.
And part of their plan was to restore the supremacy of the Communist Party, whose influence, Gorbachev was trying to reduce. And in terms of also reducing the influence of the Communist Party in the running of the Soviet economy. But, okay, two other things I wanted to talk about, since we've spoken on Gorbachev earlier on. Is one, that today is Matthew Hassan Kuka Day. His Lordship, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, is 70 today. And in many of these newspapers, I've seen, celebratory adverts, even from former heads of state, including General Babangida, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, and others, celebrating him on the occasion of his 70th birthday. And I think he's truly a man who deserves to be celebrated for his contributions to the making of Nigeria in a positive manner, for his courage to speak truth to power, for his commitment for more than 4 decades to the promotion of democracy, justice, good governance, and peace and stability and interreligious harmony, and the sheer distinction that he continues to demonstrate as a citizen and also as an intellectual. And I'd like to join others in wishing him a happy 70th birthday. Second issue, or rather the third issue, will seem to be this meeting that has been summoned by the National Universities Commission to be attended on September 6th by the pro-chancellors of all the universities and also parents and also the unions in the universities. The objective is to find a consensus. We hope that they will be able to find that consensus and resolve this lingering ASUU strike, protracted ASUU strike that has entered its 198th day. Students sitting at home, an average session takes 9 months. Now 198 days, if care is not taken, this is almost going to be a full calendar year strike. And we hope that ASUU and its members will also give an opportunity for further dialogue, because you can't rule out the option of dialogue. When ASUU declared total and indefinite strike this week, some members of ASUU are saying, in fact, there's no basis for dialogue.
There shouldn't dialogue.
No conversation.
Till a new administration
no
comes
negotiation until there is a regime change. There is a new government in place. I don't think that ASUU should take that kind of absolute hardline position. Every opportunity for dialogue, every opportunity for resolving this crisis should be embraced without any prejudices to whatever the circumstances may have been up to this point.
I couldn't agree with you more on that, Doctor, because imagine it getting to a whole calendar year and then pushing further beyond that. There has to be room for dialogue. Otherwise, this is not going to end. So let's see what comes out of that meeting on Tuesday that we now know is going to take place between pro-chancellors, vice-chancellors and the Federal Ministry of Education. Hopefully, there can be some sort of a resolve. Mr. Afeni, many thanks for the newspaper review.